Did you know that less than 5% of seniors over 70 can still do these 5 things? They may seem simple, even ordinary, but being able to do them at this stage of life is actually quite rare. And if you can, you're not just lucky, you're exceptional. These 5 abilities are quiet signs of strength, health, and resilience. They tell a story of how well you've cared for your mind, your body, and your spirit. So, let's celebrate what it means to still be able. 1. The ability to stand up from the floor without help. It sounds simple, mundane even. But for most people over 70, getting down to the floor and rising back up without support is no easy feat. In fact, it's so rare that only a small percentage of older adults can do it with ease. Yet this single ability reveals an incredible amount about a person's mobility, strength, balance, and overall functional independence. Picture this: you're sitting on a picnic blanket with your grandchild, playing a game, or reaching for something in your garden. Eventually, the moment comes you need to get up. For many, this triggers a quiet panic. Do you roll to your knees? Reach for a chair? Push off with both arms, hoping your knees will cooperate? Or can you rise with grace and confidence, relying solely on your own body? The reason this matters is not just about convenience. It's about what this movement symbolizes. Being able to rise from the floor without help means your body still maintains a healthy degree of strength in the legs and core, as well as balance and coordination. All of these are protective factors that reduce your risk of falling, one of the most dangerous and life-altering events for people over 70. According to a study published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology, researchers developed a test called the Sitting Rising Test, SRT, which measures how many points a person uses to get down and then up from the floor without support. The fewer points used, like hands, knees, arms, the better the score. The surprising part? Those who scored higher were significantly less likely to die over the following 6 years. It wasn't about being athletic, it was about functional strength and balance, 2 qualities that often fade quietly as we age, unless we actively work to preserve them. Why does this ability disappear for so many? There are a few culprits. First, we naturally lose muscle mass as we age, a condition known as sarcopenia. Without regular strength training, this loss becomes more pronounced, especially in the legs and core, muscles that are vital for getting up from the ground. Second, flexibility diminishes over time, particularly in the hips, knees, and lower back. And finally, balance, a skill that is often overlooked, begins to erode due to changes in inner ear function, vision, and proprioception. But here's the hopeful truth: this ability is not gone forever. With targeted exercises like gentle squats, hip openers, balance drills, and core strengthening routines, many older adults can regain the mobility they thought was lost for good. Physical therapists often work with clients over 70 to restore exactly this kind of functional independence, not to make them athletes, but to help them live fully, confidently, and safely. So if you're over 70 and you can still get up from the floor without needing help, consider it more than just a physical win. It's a sign that your body is still functioning with a remarkable level of vitality. It means your muscles are still strong, your joints still flexible, and your nervous system still responsive. You are among the 5% who retain this vital skill, and that's worth celebrating. For those who currently struggle with this task, don't lose heart. There are gentle, practical paths to improvement. Start where you are. Even practicing getting down and up with the help of a sturdy chair or soft surface can be a powerful way to begin reclaiming your mobility. Add a little movement each day, stretch what feels tight, and strengthen what feels weak. Over time, these small efforts can restore one of the most fundamental movements of human life: the ability to rise. 2. The ability to remember what you ate yesterday. At first glance, it may sound like a trivial thing, being able to recall what you had for lunch or dinner the day before. But this small act of memory is far more powerful than it seems. In fact, it's one of the clearest windows into the health of your cognitive function, and it often sets apart the few who are aging with mental sharpness from the many quietly struggling with memory decline. Why does something as seemingly simple as remembering yesterday's meal matter? Because memory, especially short-term memory, is one of the first places where age-related cognitive changes can quietly show themselves. The ability to remember what you ate, where you put your keys, or a conversation from the day before relies on what neuroscientists call working memory. It's the part of the brain responsible for managing and retrieving recent information. And like a muscle, it needs regular use to stay strong. According to the Alzheimer's Association, approximately 1 in 9 adults over 65 experiences some form of cognitive impairment. That's about 11%. While not all of this develops into dementia or Alzheimer's disease, even mild memory issues can affect a person's confidence, independence, and relationships. And that's why something as simple as remembering your last meal is a quiet but meaningful sign that your brain is still firing on all cylinders. If you're over 70 and you can confidently recall what you ate for lunch yesterday, that's not just luck. It's a reflection of the habits you've likely nurtured over a lifetime. Staying mentally engaged, maintaining physical activity, getting quality sleep, eating nourishing foods, and challenging your brain through conversation, reading, or hobbies. All of these things protect your brain in the long run. But let's go deeper. Memory is more than a recall mechanism. It's a foundation of identity. When you remember what you had for lunch, you're not just proving that your brain is functioning well. You're also affirming your awareness of time, your connection to daily routines, and your presence in the moment. These are all subtle but vital components of mental wellness. They tell you I'm still here. I'm still involved. I'm still engaged with life. And there's more good news. Memory, like the rest of the body, can be trained. Studies show that older adults who engage in activities that stimulate the mind, like learning a new language, doing puzzles, or practicing mindfulness, see slower cognitive decline than those who do not. Even something as simple as journaling what you ate each day, or talking to a friend about your daily routine can strengthen memory recall and support cognitive health. Nutrition also plays a significant role. Diets rich in antioxidants, healthy fats, leafy greens, berries, nuts, and whole grains have been linked to better brain health. These foods support blood flow to the brain and reduce inflammation, which can impair memory. Likewise, regular movement, even light exercise like walking, improves brain oxygenation and the production of brain protective chemicals. But let's talk for a moment about what happens when memory begins to slip. For many, it starts with small things. Forgetting names, missing appointments, losing track of days. And when that begins, it can feel unsettling, even frightening. But it's important to know this. Occasional forgetfulness is normal. Stress, fatigue, poor nutrition, and medications can all cloud short-term memory. The key is to pay attention to patterns, not isolated incidents. So if you're still clearly remembering the small details of your daily life, like yesterday's meals, take a moment to appreciate the quiet power of that. You're among the few whose cognitive health remains steady, whose sense of time remains sharp, and whose brain continues to navigate each day with clarity. That is a quiet triumph, one that deserves recognition. And if you're not quite there, if you find your memory slipping more often than you'd like, there is still so much within your control. Start by staying hydrated. Get more sleep. Move your body. Keep learning. Write things down. Engage in meaningful conversations. Most importantly, stay curious about the world and about yourself. The brain thrives when it's given reasons to stay active. 3. The ability to balance on one leg for 10 seconds. It might sound like something you'd see a child doing on a playground or a yoga enthusiast practicing in the park. But standing on one leg for just 10 seconds is one of the most revealing physical tests for older adults. And believe it or not, only a small fraction of people over 70 can do it successfully. Those who can, they're part of a rare group whose bodies and minds are still working in powerful harmony. Balance is often overlooked in daily life, until it starts to fade. Unlike muscle strength, which announces its absence with weakness, or endurance, which disappears in heavy breathing, poor balance creeps in quietly. You notice it when you hesitate at the top of stairs, when you catch yourself reaching for a countertop while getting dressed, When you avoid walking across grass or gravel for fear of a misstep. The ability to stand on one leg for 10 seconds may seem like a simple party trick, but it's actually a key predictor of longevity and health in later life. A study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that people in their 70s who were able to balance on one leg for 10 seconds had a significantly lower risk of mortality over the following decade. Why? Because balance is not just about standing still. It reflects the strength of your muscles, the sharpness of your reflexes, and the integrity of your nervous system. When you lift one foot off the ground, your body springs into action. Dozens of muscles, from your toes to your hips, engage automatically. Your inner ear, which governs equilibrium, sends signals to your brain. Your brain, in turn, issues rapid instructions to keep you steady. Your core stabilizes. Your joints react. Your mind focuses. It's a full-body symphony playing out in silence every time you do something as basic as putting on a pair of pants without sitting down. That's why this skill is so rare after 70 and why it's such a meaningful marker. It suggests not only physical fitness but also mental agility. And it's not something that happens by accident. Those who can do it have usually maintained some level of physical activity throughout their lives. They've moved regularly, challenged their bodies, and preserved the subtle motor skills that so many others let fade. But here's the most encouraging part. Balance can be improved at any age. Unlike some areas of fitness that require intensive effort, balance responds quickly to consistent, gentle practice. Something as simple as brushing your teeth while standing on one leg, holding onto a countertop, can build strength and confidence. Tai Chi, yoga, and targeted physical therapy can all help retrain your body to maintain equilibrium. Improving your balance isn't just about preventing falls, though that's certainly important. It's about preserving independence. Think about all the small movements you make each day that require balance. Stepping into a shower, climbing stairs, reaching for something high on a shelf. When you improve your balance, you reduce fear. You increase your confidence. You make your world feel safer and more accessible. And even more profoundly, standing on one leg is a reflection of your relationship with your own body. It's a moment of control, of connection. It says, I am still in tune with myself. I still trust my body to support me. So if you're over 70 and you can hold that 10-second stance, even if you wobble a little, you are in rare and wonderful company. You're sending a message to the world and to yourself that you are still grounded, still capable, still resilient. 4. The ability to laugh, truly laugh, every day. At first, it might not seem like a big deal. A laugh is just a laugh, right? Something fleeting. A moment of amusement that comes and goes. But when you look closer, the ability to genuinely laugh, deeply, freely, without hesitation, is far more than just an expression of joy. It's a reflection of emotional vitality, mental health, resilience, and even physical well-being. And by the time most people reach their 70s, that laughter becomes rare. Not because older adults stop enjoying life, but because life often becomes heavier. Friends pass away. Health issues emerge. The world feels faster and more unfamiliar. And somewhere along the way, many begin to carry a quiet seriousness that edges out the lightness they once knew. But those who still laugh, really laugh at age 70 and beyond, they are among the few. Not because life has been easier for them, but because they've chosen not to let the hardships take away their ability to see the beauty, the absurdity, and the humor in daily life. Laughter is more than entertainment, it's medicine. Research from Stanford and the Mayo Clinic confirms that laughter reduces stress hormones like cortisol, boosts immune function, lowers blood pressure, and even increases pain tolerance. When you laugh, your brain releases endorphins, those natural feel-good chemicals that create a sense of well-being and ease. It's not just emotional, it's physiological. Now think about that. Something as simple as a chuckle, a shared joke, or a funny story can strengthen your heart, relax your muscles, and even improve your sleep. And yet, as we age, many of us laugh less. The day becomes structured. The mind becomes preoccupied. We trade silliness for seriousness, spontaneity for routine. But for the 5% who still find reasons to laugh every day, they're holding on to something essential, not just for their health, but for their spirit. Laughter, especially in older age, is a sign that you haven't given up on joy, that you still welcome connection, that you still have curiosity about the world and a willingness to find the light, even when shadows fall. And it doesn't have to come from stand-up comedy or a perfectly written sitcom. Sometimes it's found in the small moments, in the way your grandchild tells a story with wild hand gestures, in the memory of something ridiculous that happened decades ago, in the ability to laugh at yourself when you spill the coffee or forget why you walked into a room. Laughter is also an invitation. When you laugh, you open the door for others to join you, to connect with you, to feel safe around you, to be reminded that life, even when uncertain, still has room for joy. It strengthens relationships. It builds bridges between generations. It softens grief, soothes loneliness, and makes the difficult feel a little more bearable. Some researchers even suggest that a daily laugh can extend your life. That seems like a bold claim, but maybe it's not about the number of years added. Maybe it's about the quality of the years you already have. Because a day with laughter feels lighter, brighter, and more alive. It reminds you of your humanity, your humor, and your hope. So if you're over 70 and you still find yourself laughing, whether it's a full belly laugh or a quiet chuckle, you're doing something extraordinary. You're not just coping with life. You're participating in it. You're showing that joy doesn't retire. That lightness doesn't have an expiration date. And that somewhere in the midst of routine and responsibility, you've protected a part of yourself that still knows how to play. If laughter has been missing from your life lately, it's never too late to bring it back. Watch something silly. Call a friend who always makes you smile. Read a humorous book or reminisce about a time when things didn't go quite as planned. Give yourself permission to laugh again, not because life is perfect, but because you're still living it. 5. The ability to make new friends and nurture old ones. At 70 and beyond, one of the most quietly remarkable things a person can do is form new friendships or actively keep old ones alive. In a world that grows quieter with age, this simple act becomes a powerful sign of emotional strength, openness, and adaptability. And yet, only a small percentage of older adults continue to build and nurture meaningful relationships after 70. That's not because the desire disappears. It's because the circumstances change. Life naturally narrows. Retirement removes daily social contact. Children move away. Friends pass on. Our circles shrink, often without us realizing it, until the silence becomes the new normal. And in that stillness, many stop reaching out. Not out of apathy, but because it starts to feel too difficult, too awkward, or too late. But those who continue to reach, who pick up the phone, join a new group, chat with someone at the store, or send a handwritten note, they are doing something extraordinary. They're refusing to let connection fade. They're fighting back against one of the most common and painful realities of aging, isolation. According to the National Institute on Aging, nearly 1/3 of adults over 70 experience some form of loneliness. And it's not just emotional, it's physical. Prolonged loneliness has been shown to increase the risk of heart disease, cognitive decline, depression, and even premature death. It's not an exaggeration to say that friendship in later life becomes a form of medicine. But real friendship, true companionship, requires effort. And that's what makes it so rare after 70. It means putting yourself out there, even when energy runs low. It means showing up, asking questions, listening deeply, and making space for someone else in your world. It means being willing to risk vulnerability again, even after heartbreak or loss. Those who can still do this are among the 5%. Not because they have more time or less pain, but because they've made a choice to stay connected. They've resisted the quiet drift toward emotional solitude. And in doing so, they've preserved something vital, their sense of belonging. It doesn't always have to be a big social life. Sometimes it's one steady friendship, one weekly phone call, one neighbor you check in with, or one new person you say yes to meeting, even when you're nervous about it. What matters is the intention behind it, the willingness to share your life, your stories, your time. And let's not forget, new friends are still possible, even after 70. Maybe especially after 70. Because at this stage of life, there's less need for pretense. You've lived enough to know who you are and what matters to you. You don't need dozens of shallow acquaintances. You just need a few kindred spirits who laugh with you, listen to you, and understand you. Making new friends isn't about popularity. It's about presence. It's about staying open to possibility, about saying, I'm still here and I still want to connect. That openness is a gift, both to yourself and to others. Because someone out there is waiting for a friend just like you. And nurturing old friendships? That's just as powerful. The friends who've known your history, the ones who remember your wedding, your struggles, your stories, are living extensions of your identity. Maintaining those connections, even if it's just through a holiday card or a short visit, keeps your past integrated with your present. It's a way of honoring where you've come from and sharing that legacy with someone who understands. So if you're over 70 and still investing in friendship, whether by reaching out, accepting an invitation, or making the effort to reconnect, you're doing something deeply rare. You're keeping your heart engaged with the world. You're choosing companionship over comfort. And that is a profound act of courage. Now we'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've been able to keep doing or start doing that makes you feel proud of the way you're aging? Share your story in the comments below. You never know who you might inspire. If this video inspired you or reminded you of someone special, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Here we're building a thoughtful, compassionate space where growing older is something to be honored, not feared.